Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. The blackest heart, the blackest mind, the blackest man on social media. It's signing black in and shining again, asking you to hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. I've tried to record this multiple times and make it shorter, and I keep failing. But it's important, and I can't leave anything out of this. This message is a continuation of my last message in which I addressed Morpheus and his audience. And I said that there is one type of self-improvement that we do need and nobody's ever pushed it, and that is to lower the libido. And one of the ways I know to lower the libido is through fasting. Now, some guys have proposed smashing and dashing as a way to lower the libido. That's not the way to lower it. I'm talking about lowering the libido, not trying to satisfy it in illicit ways like smashing and dashing that only set you up to be trapped by these broads. Because even though smashing and dashing, they still take as a validation of what they deserve and who they deserve a commitment from. In the end, they still can't deal with the dash part. They don't mind dashing, but they're not going to let you dash if you smash. That's how they think. If you smash, you need to pay. One way or another. So if you're not paying them to go away, which is tricking, then you're supposed to pay them child support, or you are supposed to, if they can't get anything else out of you. And understand this, let's say that you couldn't have kids and they don't know. And you smash and you get them guts raw and you get to bust one of them cream pies in them, one of them really, really good nuts in them. And they see you enjoying that, unrestricted and unstressed afterwards. They're going to come with something to stress you out. And if they can't come with that baby or something or like that, then the thing they're going to come with is either stalking or false accusations. Chances are both. They're going to make you pay one way or another. So lowering the libido is the thing that's going to allow you to restrict access to the peen and raise standards to the point where they will feel lucky to get the peen. Only then will they stop with always trying to extract some post-coital price from you every time you enjoy them. You marry them, you pay more than the trick does, and it's true. But what I want to get at here is this. I mentioned the type of self-improvement that we do need, which is to lower the libido. I mean, nothing else really is going to be as powerful as that. It actually makes all of the other self-improvements more powerful when it comes to not only attracting them, but to making life easier if you, for whatever reason, did not. You see, if we all go and lift weights, thinking that's going to increase our chances, they're still only going to go for the biggest dudes, the most ripped. If we all go and make money, they're still only going to go for the wealthiest dudes. They're going to continue to eliminate, because at the end of the day, the peen is not restricted from them. They are restricting the peace sleeve from most of us and giving it overly freely to a minority of us. And they're going to continue doing that and continue doing that and continue doing that until the day that the peen is not readily available. Don't worry, sex will never stop, reproduction will never stop, people will never just die off because they're not breeding anymore. It's not like that. But we can control it. You lower you lower the libido, restrict access to the peen. Now there is no power they have over you. A little influence, sure, but no power. Now, in order for the value to be reinforced, this is something we men are going to have to do collectively while young. It is necessary. In order for us to do this collectively, there will have to be some level of peen policing or Johnson policing done and acceptable, even necessary. I don't really like the idea of Johnson policing or peen policing, but again, as with everything, there are two extremes and there's a middle in between. One extreme is absolutely no peen policing, no Johnson policing at all. If that is the case, every time a man gets propositioned, then he's probably going to take it when he thinks it's easy, and then he will discover that there's going to be some price later. He thought it was a smash and dash and that's all she wanted. No, that's not the case. She's going to stalk him. And if she can't get nothing else out of him, she will falsely accuse him just to cause stress for him, even though she doesn't win anything, because that's just how women are. Peen is too cheap for them. And they've been trained to think that their pea sleeve carries so much value. That's why they're going to extract some minimum price. And if they don't benefit, they'll still make sure that you lose, just to make sure that you don't gain sexual relief without some kind of loss. That's how they are. And that's how we've allowed them to be. Because we've sent the message that peen is easy and available. We let it be that way. I've said before, the one mistake we've made has been too easy, being too easy for them sexually and by extension in other ways, non-sexually. Well, now it's time to fix that. Fast, lower the libido, restrict access to the peen, and raise standards. In order for this to be the case collectively like it needs to be, then we're going to have a moderate level of peen policing. Now, I mentioned one extreme right now when you got none at all. Well, that's what we have. We have that. That's the reality right now, pretty much none. Now I'm going to tell you the opposite extreme, so you better understand the balance. The opposite extreme level of peen policing is when you take, it's the same level that women currently practice with pea sleeve policing. You didn't know that women pea sleeve police. You see, even though they're loose in the West and they're largely sluts in the West, we think that they're not. We think that's because they're not pea sleeve policing. You think that pea sleeve policing or Punani policing is what is done here in the Middle East where I live. Not so much, no. See, here the Punanis and the pea sleeves are generally policed, but in a marriage, people fuck the shuck up. Ain't nobody gonna sit up and tell my wife and I what to do or what not to do. The only thing is, Islamically and the law of the land in most of these countries is that anal sex is out of the question. Now, when people engage in it, they don't tell anybody, so there aren't any arrests for it, but it is illegal. It's against the Sharia and it's against the laws here. I don't know what the punishments are, but it's illegal. However, outside of that, there's not much policing of the peen or the punani. The thing is that in the West, where those women are, I want you decent men to think about the decent women that curbed you for indecent men. Forget the boom shikas and the bonquishas. Think about the sapphire. That's the one that comes from a decent background, at least. That otherwise, corporately and on paper is decent, but she still has an attitude towards decent men that grew up in the same neighborhood as her, same background, and she still wants the low-life jigaboos. That's Sapphire. Sapphire was Sapphire to you because she was Punani policed by the gynocracy, by the hive mind. Don't give the pea sleeve to this normal guy over here or the man with the brain, the man with these mental talents. Give it to the dude that has all brawn, little brain that can be controlled so that you can, when it doesn't work out, you can blame him and join the sisterhood, girl. Because remember, to be a member of the sisterhood, you have to have complaints about the men you've been with. So you can talk bad about all men. And in order to do that, when there are decent men out there that are single and looking, you have to pass them up for the no good knucklehead niggas. Not only non-sexually, but you got to pass them up sexually for the no good knucklehead niggas. So what you got to do? They have to Punani police each other, and they're doing it. Now, they're not Punani policing each other just to tell each other where to not put their Punanis and whose dingalings to not ride and let onto the carousel. They're policing each other to limit each other as to which dingalings they will allow access to join the carousel so that they can all ride and share it. In other words, they're not just telling each other who not to screw, they are limiting each other as to who to screw. The worst, most negatively stereotypical of the men. Coming out to about as low as 7 to as high as 15% of men. Now, this is not a good thing because this will create genetic bottlenecks. Think about it. If you give these Western broads their choice, then only 15%, at most 7 at least, of men are going to father the next generation genetically. And they will do the same thing the next generation. So then you're going to wind up with anywhere between 7% of 7% being our grandkids, or 15% of 15% being our grandkids. The minimum would be 7% of 7%. Maximum 15% of 15%. Now, that is a minimum of 0.49% of us getting to be the grandfathers of the grandchildren's generation. The maximum of 2.25% of us being the grandfathers. This is what we're facing right now if you give the wicked witches of the West their way, because they're Punani policing each other. They've got a hive mind, they think with it, they don't want to admit it, but that is where they're being Punani policed. That's obviously an inappropriate level. It causes, as we know, genetic bottlenecks when they get their way, and that is happening. So therefore, what I want you to understand is that there is going to be a moderate, balanced, appropriate level or range of peen policing, but we're going to need to engage in it. Because nothing else is going to raise the standard to reflect the actual value that we bring between our legs. And other than that, but mostly right now between our legs. So here's the deal. Fortunately, I've been able to keep this short. I'm not saying that we need to tell each other, look, man, keep it black, black love, black family, that's it. I'm not saying that. I was pro-black, I'm now pro-black male. You can keep it black. You can afford to keep it black if that's what you choose to do. You just can't keep it black and Western. You got to do like JMM Selassie and like some other brothers on Facebook are doing, O'Shea Duke Jackson are doing. If you want to keep it black, just keep it black, non-Western. So in other words, the appropriate level needs to be more eliminatory than it needs to be exclusive. In other words, we don't need to police each other to the point where we tell each other who to stick it to or to whom to give the Johnson. We need to merely police each other to the point where we tell each other who to not give up the Johnson to, who to not give any, even for a smash and dash. That junk ain't gonna work. Now, I'm a Muslim, so I am biased against fornication anyway, but understand this, on a practical level, smashing and dashing ain't gonna work for the reasons I just mentioned previously. If you smash and you dash, that woman's gonna try to extract a price no matter what. And it's even worse now because we're not peen policing at any level. It has no value because we're not peen policing. But we can peen police to a point where we eliminate certain categories. Women whose people don't respect black folks as a whole, eliminate them. Just like we're currently eliminating the black Western woman, which we should do. We need to add to them anyone that would serve the same interest. The non-black Arab woman, eliminate her. The Afghan, Indian, Persian, Pakistani women, eliminate them because of their people's historical disrespect of our people. The Chinese, the Korean, eliminate them. The funny thing is that the Japanese look down on the Chinese and the Koreans, but they don't look down on black people. So you don't hear me telling you to eliminate Japanese women. You don't hear that. Eliminate those women. Eliminate the Western European Caucasian woman, because who the hell you think taught Boom Chic and Bon Quisha how to be what they were? They didn't pick it up themselves. So because these women do represent problems for us, and even for their own children that we might ever give them, I say, sure, we need to eliminate them. But then again, there are exceptions. What are the exceptions? The same exceptions that there are to the black Western women. You have black Western women who will disassociate themselves, even geographically, from the gynocracy and the hive mind and the BS and the anti-black misandry. Tiffany Banner's one such example. She migrated to the continent. And she's like, stop bashing these black men. They're not worse than anybody else. Shuck that fit. So you do have exceptions, but she separated herself from them, and it's been clear and open. And that's what I'm saying. She immersed herself geographically in an environment that's not with that. So if you do find a Pakistani, non-black Arab, Persian, Afghan, Indian woman, as such, or the Chinese or Korean woman that is willing to move with you to a black environment away from her family, okay, then that's an exception. There's no need to write them off as well. Okay, got it. Now, listen. More. This is kicker right here. Because I'm talking about a moderate level and nothing imbalanced, just a moderate level. The ones that we have to eliminate right now, those categories are going to shrink and disappear. You don't hear me telling you to eliminate the Southeast tropical Asian women because they don't have a history or a collective past or pattern of just disrespecting us because we black. You don't hear me telling you eliminate the Cambodian, the Laotian, the Thai, the Malay or the Southern Filipino or the Filipino woman at all. You don't hear me telling you to eliminate them because of what they have not shown towards us. Not only that, they've actually shown that they value men who value them. We do need to police just enough to where we raise standards to where we can get what we rightfully are willing to earn and deserve. I'm not even telling you that we men are entitled. I'm telling you that we men have been tricked into earning and deserving very much and then accepting very little. In order to stop that issue, we're going to have to, number one, lower the libido. And there are ways I mentioned it before. Some people can simply cut certain things from their diet. But you lower it and we do it collectively. We restrict access to the peen, which is what lowering the libido will allow you to do. And then we raise the standards. And at that point, we will have about as many options, sexually speaking and non-sexually, as what the women have now. Here, bear with me, there's more. So far, I've kept this shorter than any other attempt I've made to record this previously, but bear with me, there's a bit more. This will also stop the ability of women to do what Lori Harvey and Sierra have been doing. It is our fault that they can do it. It's their fault that the environment supports it, but it is our fault that they have the ability to do it. This would stop the ability. At this point, if we start doing this, Lori Harvey can't go from a father, she can't go from a son to a father to a future to a Michael B. Jordan. She can't do that. Not just her, but the analogs to her in the non-celebrity population in which most of us live won't be able to do this. See, they can. It's not as easy, it's disappearing, but we could step it up. Right now that's changing. We could speed up the change for the better by doing what the hell I just told you. Now all of a sudden, all the Lori Harveys stop. Done, because we have the standards. We're eliminating them based on the dumb things that they do, for which they have already eliminated most of us. There would be, screw the local version of Sierra that you know. She's not a celebrity, she's just someone from around the way, but you know what, she was a thought, and then she turned around married someone that wifed her up, took her seriously, and took care of her. Done, over with, no more. You understand? The woman that married Steve Harvey after he became famous, Lady Heroin, Lori Harvey's mother, would not be able to go from one drug dealer to that drug dealer's other drug dealing cousin and then turn around and jump from them to a Steve Harvey. You understand? You see where I'm going with this? That would stop. They would have to bring their A game visually and personally, internally. They'd have to be the type, they would have to be and behave the way that they need to and look the way they need to. And in order for them to bring both, they would have to start while they are young, because they have to meet standards if they want to be with anybody and not die alone. Now, this is the last point. If they have to meet these personality and beauty standards, and it's okay for men to have different beauty standards, it's fine. But if they have to meet personality and beauty standards, that means they have to mature while they're young. They can't come along and because they're young and cute, they get to be immature and stupid and childish, but then they still get to demand that you be, this super adult while they get to be kids. They won't be able to demand that anymore. You have to be an adult and behave like one, that's fine, so do they. End of story. That's what's needed, that's what's fair, that's what's necessary. Now that we got that out the way, here's more. We make that part plain and clear. There's more. If black women were to do this, because we know black don't crack, and that's the thing black women have been leaning on to justify having these nasty attitudes in the West. But if black really don't crack, and this is the standard that has to be met, guess which race of woman automatically comes out, simply because they have the longest time period in which they've got the looks to properly adorn the right personalities. That's the black woman. So what I'm saying to do in the long run is going to automatically benefit black women. It's going to put them ahead. And you would not mind this. That's what I'm getting at. They come out ahead if they get on board, and if they don't get on board, they lose. End of story. Because even if you can't bring yourself to be with a woman of another race and Western black women aren't willing to get on board, remember, you have a lower libido. You don't feel a guck. I mean, it would be nice to get up in them drawers and cream pie the cervix, but if you don't, you can still live and survive. That's what I'm getting at. And that's important. So at the end of it all, what I'm saying to do is necessary. Lower the libido. Restrict access to the peen and raise standards. And do it collectively. And shame those that undermine, just the same way that where I live, English teachers who teach privately, cheaply, and we find out about it, get shamed. And they're under threat of getting an ass whooping. See, people don't know this, but we run a cartel here. We run a racket here. If a teacher teaches privately and it's not allowed in their contract, but they do it, we don't interfere in that. We don't police that. We police only if they start to offer this at too low of a price that would mess things up for the rest of us. Then we might whoop that teacher's behind and expose him for teaching privately anyway. You don't make these things cheap. This is a skill. Explaining a second language to a Bedouin Arab, especially where we live, it is a difficult job. You sit up and undercut this, oh yeah, we're going to expose you. We're going to bring it to the boss. Yeah, this is a student that's willing to tell you that so-and-so was teaching them privately. And when it gets exposed, something has to be done about it. If it's a rumor, no, but you get a witness, something has to be done about it. And the teacher has to be sent out, and we will all participate to price police our skill. That's the racket we run here. It's the same thing. We need to moderately peen police. We hate the thought of it, but I'm talking about doing it without the extremes, but we need to do it just enough to where lowering the libido, restricting access to the peen, and raising standards is possible because we're on board. Because that's only the moderate level of peen policing or Johnson policing is only reversing the war tactic in which the sisters have engaged, in which really Western women in general have engaged, just for the purpose of making things difficult for us and allowing them to be sluts and whores when they're young and still be taken seriously and wifed up when they get older. That's all it is. Thank you for listening. Black heart, black mind, blackout, assalamu alaikum, black heterosexual non-select male power, which is only possible if we do what I just told you, and black patriarchy until extinction or judgment day.